Well, hello and welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger on April 21st, 2024. Uh, I am frankly not in a very soul searching mood at the moment. Actually, you guys almost didn't get this episode because originally I was supposed to go out with a couple of friends and I've been waiting for them ever since 5 p.m. to show up. It is almost 8 p.m. now, and I just called them, and apparently they got into an argument with each other, so we are not going out, and no one bothered to let me know. So, anyway, long story short, I just got stood up by some of my best friends. It's not the first time, it will not be the last time. It's very aggravating every time this happens. So please, if you guys have done this to your friends, let me just say this from the perspective of having this done to me, because I have never done it to anyone else. I'm very proud to say this. I have never done this to anyone else. Uh, if you have done it to people, it's really, really a bad habit to get into. Um, of course, as their friends, there's not much I can do other than just smile and say it's okay. I understand you guys are fighting. You're unhappy. Okay, fine. Call me later. But in my head, there's all kind of swearing and very unpleasant emotions going on at this point from this experience, especially when I put off house cleaning and a lot of chores, uh, waiting for them to show up. And now I'll have to make up for it in a couple of days when I have an afternoon off. Anyway, personal issues aside, at least now we get a Soul Search Sunday. So that's good in everything. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, today we are going to talk about the art of getting good advice. I almost said advices. For the longest time, I keep saying advices, and it was a kitten that corrected me every time, pissing me off. But no, this kind of correction is good. It's good when you say something wrong and someone is there to let you know, hey, you might not want to say that. Uh, so yes, it's embarrassing, and it's kind of annoyed me when she did it, but uh, advice, not advices. If someone can tell me why, I would appreciate it. But I think it's just one of those wacky English things that uh, it just is. No one really know why. Kind of like why is it sheep and not sheeps? Why can you say horses, but why can't you say sheeps? Right? It's strange. No, it doesn't make sense. I mean, some people say, well, yeah, because you never have just one. You always have more than one when you have sheep. That's BS, okay? You're just guessing. Because I can totally go and buy one sheep if I want to. There's no reason why I can't just have one. So if it can be sheep, it should be able to say sheeps. Anyway, uh, we're going so far off the topic. Anyway, how to take good advice. Of course, the good advice is subjective, depending on the person giving the advice. But advice is like uh, certain body parts. Everybody got one. Everybody got some, and everybody think theirs don't stick. And that is the truth of it. A lot of time, the person giving you the advice, to them, it's perfectly good advice. But it is up to you to figure out is this good advice or not. Luckily, there's a simple three-step thought process. There's a three-step procedure that you can go through in your mind. And this will help you figure out if this advice is good. When we say good, we don't mean intention. I'm not talking about is the intention good, because as we often know, there are many atrocities, many bad things that came from good intentions, right? a lot of those people that commit heinous crimes against humanity, they had the best of intentions. Uh, no, I'm not talking about intention. I'm talking about good as in, is it good for you? Is this advice going to be valuable for you? Is it beneficial to you? So let's look at our three-step process in figuring this out. Number one, the first thing you want to implement in your head when you're giving an advice is to think um, cynically. To think cynically. To be a cynical thinker. Okay, I know this has a kind of a negative connotation to it, and maybe as a Capricorn, this comes natural to me, and maybe it doesn't come so natural to everybody. But in the case of when you are getting advice from people, this is a very important step. What do I mean by think cynically? I'm not saying that uh, I'm not saying that being paranoid. Okay, you don't want to just automatically assume that someone is giving you advice and it must be bad for you or it's to mislead you. No, when I say think cynically, I mean to figure out in your head why is this person giving me this advice? Is it going to benefit me or is this going to benefit them? Okay, for example, when I advise, let's say you and I live together and alone on our own, like we're the only two people on an island in the middle of the ocean, and I advise you, did you know that being vegetarian is much healthier for you? Then you got to figure, okay, am I telling you this really because I think you should be healthier, or am I telling you this so I can have the meat to myself? Okay, this is a very simplified thought process, but you need to figure out if the person who's advising you, is it really for you or is this for them? Okay, mommy and daddy advising you to go to bed early, is it really for you or is it so they can spend some quality time together? Now, with that said, this is not as cut and dry. This is not a black and white situation because many times in our life we get bogged down by this streak of rebellions in our head. What am I talking about? What I am talking about is sometimes you feel, oh, you are advising me to do this so it can benefit you. Well, then I'm not going to do it. Why should I? It's obviously it's not for me. It's for you. Doctors, my doctor is telling me I should take this medication. Obviously, it's for them to get paid more. Not completely. Okay. This is why we go through our cynical thinking, but this is not the only thought process that we need to go through. Just because it's going to benefit them doesn't automatically make it a bad advice. In fact, a lot of time as a counselor, as a self-defense instructor, and so on, I will advise my student, my client on things that yes, it will benefit me because why shouldn't I get benefit from this session? I am here to teach you. I'm here to uh, be your counselor. I need to pay bills as well. I need to get paid. But that does not mean that what I'm giving you is bad advice, right? So when the doctor tell you that you need to take this medication, yes, it is smart that you don't want to take it at face value. It's always good to get second opinion, third opinion, especially if you are not certain. But a lot of time, when they prescribe you something, it is for your own good as well. Okay, let's say you are being put on high blood pressure medicine. Yes, me as a doctor prescribing you high blood pressure medicine. means that I am going to get some money out of it. It's going to benefit me. But that doesn't mean, at least if I have any kind of decency, if I have ethic, then I'm not going to prescribe you something that you don't need. And it's quite possible that you do have high blood pressure. That if I don't prescribe this, you are going to be very uncomfortable. You are going to get very sick, right? So just because it benefits me doesn't mean that it's not going to benefit you. I quite often take Tiger to the vet, and the vet prescribes things and treatment and medication. And there are times that I turn them down. Yes, because I can't afford it sometimes. But in my head, I always make sure I remember, yes, they're not doing this just for themselves. They're not prescribing these things just for them because the proof is in the pudding. Tiger is a lot healthier. Tiger is getting better. Tiger is a 20 for a 20-year-old cat is doing extremely good. So what they've been prescribing have been working. Just because it's benefiting them doesn't mean that it's not good for him. So in our head, we need to figure this out. Why are they suggesting this? Why are they giving us this advice? Is it for them? Is it for us? And also remind ourselves just because it's for them doesn't mean that it's bad for us. And vice versa. Just because it's not benefiting them and it's for us doesn't automatically make it good advice. Okay? People can give you really horrible advice even though, yeah, when they said it, it doesn't benefit them. They truly thought it was going to benefit you. But because you don't know the art of taking good advice, because you haven't watched Johnny Tiger Soul Search Sunday on this very same subject, you don't know how to filter out bad advice and then you get hurt in the process. But their intention was good. Again, many bad things come from good intentions. Many bad things happen because supposedly good advice were given. So think cynically, figure out is this going to benefit you, benefit them, or maybe benefit you both? And then we go to step number two. Step number two, after we learn to think cynically, our next thought process is to think logically. Does this make sense? Why are they suggesting this? Why are they giving me this advice? Okay, mostly apply logic to it. Why are they advising me? Why is this their advice? And does this make sense? Okay, because a lot of time you will find that people will advise you on something that they themselves don't know anything about. Their intention was really good, but because they saw a YouTube ad or 10 YouTube ads because for eating taking this supplement to lose weight or to gain muscle mass, they believe it's legit and they tell you they give you advice on taking the supplement and not knowing anything in the supplement because they don't want to take it themselves. They don't feel they need it. So they give you this advice. Meanwhile, they don't know anything about it. Okay, so it's up to you to figure out, is this logical? Does this make sense what they're telling me? Okay? Why are they telling me this? Why does it make sense to them? And this is the point where you need to communicate any question you have. Because if you take someone's advice without asking all the questions and then you end up getting hurt, it is not the person's fault. It is your fault. Okay? Everyone everyone has a mouth. Everyone can communicate and give advice. Well, most people, not everyone. I mean, depending on your severity of your disability and what country you live in, because we have been very lucky. We live in a country where freedom of speech is actually a thing. And everyone seems to think that their opinion is the most important in the world. Anyway, when you hear an advice, when someone gives you an advice, run it through this thought process. Is it logical? Does it make sense? Don't just take it at face value. Ask them questions. Research into it. And when you ask questions, you don't need to be rude about it because sometimes people resent that. When I give you advice, I don't need to be quizzed. I don't want to be interrogated. I don't need to prove to you what I say work because I don't work for you, right? When it come out of the goodness of my heart and take time out of my life to advise you, I don't want to be made feel like an idiot when I don't know how to answer your question. So you got to be quite tactful when you ask questions, right? Like one thing that I experience a lot, especially with older people that are a bit rude, when you tell them something, let's say I can say to someone, you really should sleep more. You need to sleep 8 hours a day. And just because you might be older and you feel like you don't need that sleep, your body still need it. Very legit advice, right? Like scientific, medically proven. But a lot of them will say, says who? Where do you read that from? It must be a scam. How can you believe what you read on the internet? Where's the medical paper? And so on and so on. And this leads to a really bad feeling. Uh, 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 it's again right off the bat, me as a person who advise you to get more sleep because I feel it should be better for you. Uh, Immediately I feel, oh well, the hell with you then. It's not like I was advising you for my benefit. I'm trying to help you out, and then you turn around and try to interrogate me. And I have to prove my innocence. I got to give you proof. So you got to be gentle when you ask questions. So rather than asking where you read that, where's the proof, you can go do it in a roundabout way and say, oh, that is really interesting. I think I heard something about that. So how does that work? Why does it? Why do they say 8 hours? Can you tell me more? I'm really interested in what you're saying, but can you give me more information? That right away sounds totally different, right? You're still asking for more information, but rather than confrontational, now you're inquisitive, you're curious, you're interested. And that makes me feel good because I feel that you're actually listening to me. So thinking logically, responding logically is very important in filtering out good advice from bad advice. Because again, a lot of time, the person who gave you the advice got the best of intention. But when the ego told the frog, it's okay, just jump off the side of the cliff, the ego was not thinking, right? The ego got wings, frog didn't. The ego not thinking that the frog was any different because maybe the ego is such a nice creature that it believes that it's the same as everybody else. Everybody's equal. Everybody's equally capable. Everybody could fly. The ego gives the frog that advice: just jump, and then the frog falls to its death. Right? Like in that case, can you blame the ego? Well, maybe. Yeah, the ego was a bit dumb, but the frog is even dumber, right? Because the frog knew I can't fly. It's not up to the ego to figure that out. The frog should figure that out before taking the leap of faith. Let me give you an even more true life example of why you need to apply logic to whatever advice you were given before you take it. A lot of people in the martial arts circle do this body conditioning. I punch the wall, punch your stomach, uh, hit something hard with your head, all kind of crazy stuff, right? And then let's say you are in your 50s, someone who's in their 20s or someone who's been conditioning ever since they're in their 20s. So they can be the same age as you, but they've been conditioning ever since they were teenagers. They'll tell you, you need to do this. You need to hit your knuckle against a rock every day, because then that will condition your bone and it will calcify and you'll have iron fist and you can punch through people's face and skull when you get into a fight and you'll be the karate champion. They're not wrong. Okay? They are not wrong because scientifically it does work. But it will not work when you start doing this in your 50s. It worked for them because they've been doing this since they were teenagers. Okay? This calcifying, this conditioning is going to work in your early 20s, in your teen years, maybe early 30s, but after that, all you will be doing is breaking your body down for no good reason whatsoever, unless you want to buy some very expensive calcium-based supplement, which, yes, they will help, but they will also mess up your kidney. So, if you are in your 50s and you go read a martial art book and watch a martial art video, and someone like Johnny Tiger tells you you need to go punch the wall every day with your fist, you might want to just look into that. So, does this really work? Does this really work for older people? Or am I just going to mess up my hand? Because there is a time when this works, but there's a time when it doesn't work. If you do it when you're 20 years old, when you're 15, it works perfectly. By the time you're in your 40s, you have fists like iron. But if you just start in your 50s, you're not going to get fists of iron. Your hands are going to turn into tofu by the time you're 70 years old. Okay? So apply some logic to whatever you're hearing. First, think cynically and then think logically. And now we move on to part three. Part three. Before you say, okay, I'm going to do what you say, before you say, that's a great advice, thank you, let's run it through one more thought process. Think practically. Think practically. This one is internal. Okay? Think logically applied more toward the person who gave you the advice. Why did they give you this advice? Why does it make sense to them? How much do they really know? Think practically is simply, is this something that I can afford to do right now? It's that simple. Okay, so let me give you this example again. Someone come and tell you, "Hey, Johnny, you know if you punch something hard every day with your fist, by the time you're 40, you'll have fist of iron, you'll have hands of steel, and you'll be unbeatable in a fight." And let's say, okay, I am 18 years old when I hear this advice. So I look into it. Yeah, it's going to totally work. I'm 18. I'm young enough to take this advice. Does that mean it's a good advice? Not quite. Because maybe I am a computer expert. I need my fingers to function for my job. Maybe I'm a world class concert pianist and I need my knuckles to not be swollen and not be constantly in pain for me to function. Okay, just because it is good advice, it does work, it's logical, and it's altruistic, meaning that it is going to benefit you, doesn't mean that you can take this advice. You got to weigh yourself. Again, the frog needed to figure out, oh, wait, I shouldn't take the eagle's advice because I can't fly, right? A few years ago, one of my friend called me on the phone and she was very earnest and eager. And she said, I'm going to help you out because I really think you are a great person and you just need opportunity. So I'm going to tell you right now is a great time to invest in gold. Okay, go invest in gold. You will thank me 10 years down the road. And I immediately started laughing. I was like, I want to thank you for thinking about me, and it's so touching and it's great. And I totally trust you because you're very knowledgeable in this field. But understand this, I only have $50 in my bank account. So unless you're willing to stiff me $5,000 and I can take your advice and go do this, this is a good advice that I just can't afford to take because I don't have what it takes to invest in gold right now. So this is one of the very real life example of practicality. It's a good advice, but can you take it? Can you really afford to take it right now? Someone may tell you that, hey, you should sell your house right now. The market is perfect for it and you can make a lot of money. Yes, but if you have three children, three little children at home, and a lot of other stuff going on, someone who's sick, a sick partner, a sick parent at home, maybe this is not the advice for you because you simply cannot afford that kind of chaos in your life right now. So, before we say yes to an advice, before we can figure out how to take a good advice, the three simple steps, three simple thought process that you want to go through in your head is one, think cynically. Okay, why are they giving me this advice? Is it going to benefit them? Is it going to benefit me? Is it going to benefit us both? Because, like I said, just because it benefits them doesn't mean that it's bad for you. Sometimes it's going to benefit you both, which is the perfect ending. Number two, apply logic. Think logically. How does this make sense? How does this even work? What do I need to know about it? If I want to take this advice, what do I need to know? What are the pros and cons? What do they really know? Is there any uh, 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 troubleshoot or tech support if I do follow through with this? Can they help me if I run into issues? They find out of things like that. Number three, think practically. Is this really something I can do right now? My lifestyle, my age, my financial situation, is this really something that I can afford to consider? When you think when you look at the advice under these three step processes, you will suddenly figure out that a lot of advice are good, but simply don't work. A lot of advice may be bad, but at least now you know how to spot them before staying up all night thinking about them. Thank you for checking out today's episode. And like I said, if my form is a little bit off, my cadence, my rhythm is a bit off today, it's because I'm like all kind of pissed off before the video. Uh, I do feel better now that I have a chance to record this for you guys. So thank you. I'll be back tomorrow for some Music Monday.